And welcome to the Hot Seat of College Football Show. I am Trent, your host, as today I want to go over who I think should be the number one team heading into the preseason of next season. Let's talk about it. All right, so before we get into this video, you guys all know the drill. Please hit the subscribe button. We just got to 240. Let's try to get to 250 by the end of this week. That means we are a quarter away from 1,000 subscribers, and that is the overall goal of this channel right now. So get to 1,000, the road to 1,000, and we are 10 away from 25%. There, we're 24%. So if you want to be one of the 10 people to help us get it, that would be amazing. Also, if you enjoyed today's show, before you leave, please hit the like button. It means the world to me. It really helps you to promote the shows more than my videos that don't get likes. So I want to talk about who I think should be number one. I have everyone's case on why they should be number one and why they shouldn't be number one. And at the very end, I'm going to be telling you who do I think should personally be number one. Also, it's pinned right here. Let me know down in the comments, who do you think deserves to be the number one team in the country heading into next year? So I want to go case by case. I got 7 teams. 7 teams. I'm going to turn up the light a little bit, so you guys can see me a little better. But I got 7 teams who I think deserve to be number one. So, starting off at number one, who do we want to start off with? Let's start off with Ohio State. Okay, so why does Ohio State deserve to be number one? Well, this year is Ohio State's money year. And really, you could say every year is Ohio State's money year. Really, the past 3 years combined have all been money years. 24 was the money year. That was the championship year. Last year didn't seem like it was, but then you had the defense being what it was last year. That was definitely a natty or bust season. And obviously this year, Julian's potentially really his last year. Jeremiah Smith's 100% definitely last year. Most likely Patricia's last year. And this is the money year because next year is really most likely a rebuilding year with a Tavian St. Clair and without having a Jeremiah Smith. And you're probably going to be turning over most of the roster. So this year, it's Ohio State's one of the last of this kind of 3-year run of the championship years. You got returning Julian Sand, Jeremiah in his final year, Patricia probably off. Plus, you have a very senior veteran offensive line, plus 51 no guys in the portal. You got veterans like James Smith, who will be gone after this year, Terry Moore, Earl Little, Jermaine Matthews, Connor Hawkins, most likely Peyton Pierce, Jeremiah Smith will be gone. Bo Jackson will be back, but for the most part, this is kind of it for most of these guys. And really, you've seen a lot of investment through the 51 new guys in the portal. You also seen a special teams investment with Connor Hawkins, which if Ryan Day is investing in special teams, then I definitely think that it definitely means he is invested in this season. But yeah, I'm really excited for guys like James from Alabama and especially Terry Moore from Duke. People are not talking about safety Terry Moore from Duke because he's having to replace Caleb Downs and his injury is with ACL last year. But if he is healthy, I'm telling you, I think maybe you could make a case that Kenyatta will be the best player, maybe James Smith, but I think Terry Moore has a chance of being the best player on this defense. The why not? Even though you have Patricia back, I guess that's Patricia being back is one of the biggest things of why this team should win the national or should be number one. The case for not, Ohio State has after this year or coming into this year has lost most of the pieces from that 2024 national title team. You lost 4 first rounders last year. You're going to be losing 4 potentially top 10, maybe 5 first round picks in this year's draft. You are returning, again, 51 new faces, and this year you're looking to be setting, again, that NFL record for Buckeyes drafting the top 10, losing Caleb Downs, who is the smartest player on this defense, the centerpiece of this defense, and really he might put a wrench in what Matt Patricia really wants to do after losing Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, and Caleb Downs. Also, losing Abe Benosin. Jermaine has been getting picked on in defense a lot, and I think we're really going to miss Davidson and Benosin because he was so much better in his senior year compared to his junior year. Also, on the offense, losing Carnell Tate and Max Clare, that takes away an established piece for Julian to throw to. He's going to have to rely more on Brandon Innes. He needs to take a step forward. Jeremiah needs to take a step forward. But without Carnell, it's really going to allow defenses to... you have Devin McKeown, and I think he'll be very, very good. But even Brandon, I think, will be pretty good. Without Carnell, it's going to basically have double coverage on Jeremiah every single play for the entire season. And if that is going to be a problem if Devin McEwen, Brandon Inniss, Kyle Parker, Hunter Welsing, if the tight ends and the wide receivers, if they cannot step up. And also, Julian was not great at reading the middle of the field last year. He has to get better at that. The offensive line didn't play well at the end of the year. Yes, they're all coming back and they'll have another year to gel, but man, it's going to be tough if they cannot step up. And because if it's just the Jeremiah show, you might win a Heisman, but I don't think you're going to win a national championship. Bo Jackson also needing to step up. And can Arthur Smith find more ways to create a better running game? Because what it was last year was definitely not going to be enough of this year. So that's my case for Ohio State. The next team is Oregon. Why do I think Oregon should be the number one team in the country? Well, this is one of the most veteran Oregon rosters we have seen since that 2023 Oregon team. You could say, 24. 24 was great. You had a veteran quarterback, but that was not like a super veteran team. Those were a lot of sophomores that year, and then you had Dylan Gabriel at quarterback. But this year, this is one of the most veteran rosters we've seen out of Oregon since the 23 Duck squad, who lost to Michael Penix's Washington team member that had Bo Nix. I'm pretty sure Bucky Irving was on that team. I think Christian Gonzalez was also on that team. But yeah, this year they have returning quarterback Dante Moore. And he was projected to be the second overall pick behind Fernando. He's going to be back. That's big. Evan Stewart coming back from injury, the wide receiver, that will be big. Decorian Moore in his second year will be great. You have the third receiver. I'm forgetting his name. What's his name? McClellan. McClellan, I think is his name. He was great when you had Decorian Moore out, especially in that James. I guess I know it's James Madison, but specifically in that James Madison game, he was pretty spectacular. You were also returning multiple guys on the defensive side: Bear Alexander, Amari Washington, Mateo Uyunglele, all on that front seven to hold down the trench play from. Obviously the Big Ten's famous for its running games. If I bring up Oregon's schedule, that defensive line will need to be great against teams like USC, who, even though you have the great passing attack, they're going to have a really good running game this year. Illinois is going to be a very tough running game. Nebraska will be tough. Ohio State will have a tough running game. Michigan will have a tough running game. So you're going to need those front sevens to step up against these Big Ten running games, especially when it gets cold and late into the year. Why do I think Oregon cannot win it? So Oregon's also never won a national title before. Oregon has started to have a pattern where they beat everybody. They beat literally everybody except the team that wins the national championship or makes a national championship. I'll go year by year. In 2025, they lost to one team twice. Indiana won the national championship. In 24, they had one loss to Ohio State, won the national championship. In 23, 2 losses. Lost to Washington twice. Washington went to the national championship. In 2022, they lost. They got blown out 49-3 against Georgia, who won the national championship. So, really, Oregon only ever loses to teams that make the national championship. And if you look at their schedule, they still have to play Ohio State. Ohio State could go to the national championship. And especially in the postseason, Oregon, they need to start beating and getting over the hump, because it's impressive losing to the best teams or losing only to the best teams. But unless you want your legacy to just be, we lost on the semifinals, then I think that's definitely an argument to say why should Oregon be number one if we know they can't win a national championship? What else on my notes? What else? I think that's all I have for Oregon. Also, I guess this actually is a good point. Dan Lanning is having to replace both coordinators. That is not ideal in a national championship run, having to replace both coordinators. You have Will Stein going to Kentucky, and then Tosh LaPointe, I think, going to... It's one of the Big 12 schools. Is it Arizona State or going to... I don't know exactly where he's going to, I think, one of the Big 12 schools. But yeah, so that's for Oregon. Next team, the third team, and is this the last team in the Big Ten? Yes. This is my last Big Ten team. That's obviously Indiana. Of course, they are the reigning champs, so their argument is to be, do reigning champs deserve to be number one the next season? For the most part, I would probably say yes. Whenever Clemson would win their natty, put them number one the next season. Whenever Bama won their natty, put them number one the next season. Whenever Georgia won the natty, put them number one the next season. when Ohio State won the Natty, they should have been number one the next season. The only one recently that was not that was Michigan and LSU. The LSU team should have not. They were bad in 2020 the next year. Michigan was bad the year after they won the national championship. So not always, but for a team like Indiana, they're losing a lot, but they are not like getting fully gutted. They still have good players on their team. They are returning the second best coach behind Ryan Day, Kirk Cignetti. If you want to see my top 10 coaches video, it's on the channel. Go watch it. They're also Kirk Cignetti is following the same format that got them to the Natty and to the playoff 2 years in a row, getting these veteran 3-stars out of the portal. They're bringing in Josh Hoover from TCU, which gives them veteranship. Really, but does he have the talent to back up and the skill to back up what they lost from Curtis Rourke and Fernando? I don't think so. I really don't think last year is repeatable, not even for Indiana. That really took a miracle with every transfer working out and meshing completely. Plus, in games when they played Ohio State, Alabama, and Oregon, all those teams played really bad. And Ohio State played bad and they won by 13-10. Ohio State should have won 24-13 or 20-16 against Indiana in the Big Ten Championship. Ohio State definitely should have beat them. But yeah, Alabama and Oregon played so pathetic. I mean, throwing pick sixes on the first play of the game, terrible playing. And I don't believe in Josh Hoover. I don't believe in Josh Hoover. And you look at this offense, Charlie Becker's great. He made an incredible catch in practice if you haven't seen the clip the other day. But he's not really a true X. So you expected Nick Marsh to come in as that true X. But I've watched Nick Marsh for 2 years at Michigan State. He's good, but he's not great. Nick Marsh is really good, but is he good enough to be a dominant at being the full-time X at a program like Indiana? Like, is he good enough to be the true X at a Kurt Cignetti team? I don't know. So that's why my case, I don't really believe in this Indiana roster. I don't. I like Carter Smith, who they're returning, the offensive lineman. They're returning Charlie Becker, which is big. But aside from that, they're losing a ton. So yeah, that's my case for Indiana. Next team, Texas. They got Arch Manning returning for his second full year. Now starting as, I guess he's like a redshirt junior, but really like a senior. This is last year. You had the O-line last year, very disappointing. They were returning 4 out of 5 starters. Now they have more time to gel, hopefully with better quarterback play to back it up. Hopefully Arch can get more of the running game. We've seen in the second half of last year, Arch did do much better in his own QB running game. You're also bringing in Cam Coleman from Auburn, who is a true X. He is a true game changer, really the only bright side from that Auburn team last year. Also, Colin Simmons on the defensive side, who should be an All-American this year in his final year, looking to be the best edge rusher in the SEC. With Texas, they're all in on this year, and really they've been just short of a title multiple times. You look at 25, they missed the playoff, but in 24, they're a couple plays away from going to overtime, maybe beating Ohio State, and then 24 going to national title play Michigan. They were a play short in the red zone against Washington. So that's definitely my case, is they're all in on this year. Why not? Look, Texas, they've been coming up short in all these biggest games versus Ohio State twice, Georgia 3 times, Washington. I mean, they've had to go to overtime against Arizona State, Mississippi State, Kentucky. I mean, I get Arizona made to the playoff, but like, why are you in overtime with these teams? Even though I think Riley Brown from Arizona State will be a good running back, I just don't believe in this running game for Texas. I just don't think it's going to be dominant enough to take pressure off Arch Manning. And really, Arch Manning has struggled when the pressure of the entire game's outcome, the win or the loss, comes down to, are you going to ball out? Which is unfair to ask any quarterback that's not Cam Newton. So I'm not saying it's fair, but I mean, really any quarterback, but really Arch has really struggled, especially last year early when the full game comes down to him. Yes, he did look good in the Mississippi State game, but again, it's Mississippi State. Also, your head coach, like head coaches that call their own plays, they don't ever win titles. The last time it happened was Jimbo Fisher in 2013 with famous Jameis in Florida State. And it's funny, the best play caller and the best offensive mind in the sport, Ryan Day, could not win a national title, but the second he stopped calling his own plays, they passed it down to Chip Kelly, he won a national title. So, yeah, also, Sark tends to get out coached, and sometimes you look at this, they show the camera on the sideline, he does look clueless. So, if Texas wants any chance at winning, really him and Arch need to step up in his last year. So that's my case for Texas. Take some water. My throat's closing up. So I got 3 teams left. This is my last SEC team. It's Georgia. Look, Kirby has won 2 titles back-to-back in recent years with a gritty veteran white boy at quarterback. Last time it was Stetson Bennett. Now it's Gunnar Stockton. I think Gunnar Stockton is kind of the next version of Stetson Bennett. We've seen Georgia win the SEC in the 2 years in a row and then get immediately bounced in the playoffs, one by Notre Dame, one by Ole Miss. I know Ole Miss is an SEC team, but I think it's really shown how weak the SEC actually is. The fact that Georgia has won it 2 years in a row and then immediately gets bounced in the playoff. Even if they beat Ole Miss, I don't think they were beating Miami. I don't think Georgia was beating Miami. So that's I don't know. We've seen Georgia do it before, but the SEC has kind of gone down. I don't know. Having Drew Bobo back, your offensive coordinator's kid, Mike Bobo. Is it Mike Bobo? Yeah, I think Mike Bobo's kid, Drew Bobo, is your center. He's one of your best players. He's going to be great for this offensive line. Plus, this year with a really tough schedule. I mean, if I pull up their schedule, they have to play Oklahoma, at Alabama, Auburn, Florida, at Ole Miss, at South Carolina. Okay, so not a super tough schedule, but it's not like super easy. They have 4 rivalry games, so maybe they could lose a couple of those. I think this year is the year of 9-3, especially for the SEC. So if Georgia goes 9-3, I definitely probably think they're still in. Not hosting a playoff game, but I would probably say they're in. My only thing with Georgia is I don't think Kirby Smart's in his prime anymore. The SEC has proven to be a weak conference with every team getting destroyed in the postseason, the Big Ten in the playoffs, and then the ACC and the Big 12 have been just cleaning up the SEC in bowl games. So Georgia's been in really close games with a bunch of bad teams that we know are bad because of how they compete with their out of conference and their bowl games. So that's not ideal. They are also replacing their left tackle Monroe Freeling to the NFL draft, which will leave a hole in this Georgia offensive line, even with Drew Bobo. Plus, the defense in the biggest games has been a letdown. I mean, they've allowed over 30 points against Alabama, Ole Miss twice. I mean, even Mississippi State, who was bad. This is like maybe 2-3 years ago. They allowed, I think it was 2 years ago in 24. They allowed like 31, 34 points at home. You can't have that. You can't have that at all. So Georgia's a little bit more of a toss-up. A team that I definitely think can make a case for being number 1 is Notre Dame. They made the national title 2 years ago. They were the first team out this year, but we all know if they would have gotten, they would have probably made a run, maybe even won the title. Depends if they played Miami again. I know Notre Dame, they're always the if, but I do think Notre Dame would have made a run in the playoffs if they got there. They're returning CJ Carr, who some believe to be the best quarterback in Notre Dame history. You also got Mylon Graham as a depth piece and 5-star Quincy Porter, who is looking to start. Both are 5 stars transferring out of Ohio State. Marcus Freeman has also recruited his tail off. He has having 3, 4, 5 stars per recruiting class. And really, your head coach is a great motivator, and really, he excels in the postseason. The only problem is he struggles in the regular season. We have seen multiple times them starting out 0-2 this year against Miami and Texas A&M, them losing to bad teams like Northern Illinois and Marshall. You are also losing your best player, Jeremiah Love, and his backup, Jadarian Price. So that leaves a gigantic hole at running back this year, which again puts more pressure on CJ Carr to take over a game. Also, the defense needs to step up because against Miami and especially Texas A&M and Ohio State, the defense was god-awful. They couldn't stop a horsefly. In the Natty, you saw, they couldn't, they kind of got a couple of stops off of a fumble. And in 24, they were they were the best team in the country on defense at creating turnovers. And now you're losing Xavier Watts. The turnovers on defense really kind of fell off. And I think that was an aspect that Al Golden brought that Chris Ash. Look, I love Chris Ash. He won Ohio State. He was the defensive coordinator when Ohio State won the national championship in 2014. But that was kind of an aspect that Al Golden had that Chris Ash didn't have in his first year. We'll see what he can do in his second year. And finally, if they run into Ohio State, the season's a wrap. We all know that. Notre Dame cannot beat Ohio State to save their life. Really, Ohio State is Marcus Freeman's mentor. He played under Tressel at Ohio State. So, yeah, the last team is Miami, Florida. Remember, Miami goes to Miami of Ohio, so I have to say Miami, Florida. Why? Again, like Miami made the national title last year, getting past Texas A&M, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Ole Miss, falling one drive short against Indiana in the national title game. Really, I thought it was like, 27-21. I'm like, they're moving the ball. I'm like, oh my God, Indiana might sell. Miami might win the national championship. We can't do this. And they were literally 45 yards short. And then Carson Beck throws the game, losing interception. You are upgrading at quarterback with Darian Mensah from Duke. You are returning your best wide receiver and your best running back, Malachi Toney and Mark Fletcher Jr. Mario Cristobal is a great coach that really overachieved with that team last year with Carson Beck at quarterback. But yeah, with Darian Mensah transferring from Duke, I think he doesn't have the arm that Cam Ward had, but he's definitely a more athletic version of Cam Ward in an easy conference, which really should lock up Miami in the college football playoff. We've seen Mario Cristobal struggles in November. They do play Notre Dame in November, but they don't really have a ton of hard games in November that I think are super losable. But, they lost to Louisville and SMU last year. You were also, why I do not think they maybe should be number one, they are losing their two best players, Francis Maligola at tackle and Ruben Bain Jr. at edge, plus Akeem Mesidor on the other side on the defensive line. Really, Miami hasn't won anything. They've won a couple playoff games, but they've never won the ACC. And plus, I think being in the ACC docks you from the Big Ten and even the SEC from being treated the same way. So that's kind of why I docked them. So yeah, that's my case for 7 teams. Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, Texas, Georgia, Notre Dame, and Miami. Who do I think should be preseason number one? It's got to be Ohio State. Ohio State, they've won the national title. They're returning the most. They're in the Big Ten. They got Jeremiah Smith. They have the only returning Heisman finalist with the best head coach in the best country in the best conference with one of the biggest money, the deepest pocket. So I definitely think they should be number one. But again, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of a long one. Did 3 pages of research for this video, so this was definitely a very heavily scripted video. But yeah, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 250. That would be a quarter, 25% away from 1,000. Also, remember to hit the like button. Videos that get likes get recommended way more than videos that don't. Also, I don't know if you noticed, my dad surprised me this morning with his hot seat shirt. As this video comes out, I will be on vacation, which is why I'm wearing the same shirt in every video, because they're all filmed the same day. I'm just scheduling them out because I'm going to be at Niagara Falls for spring break. But again, that's all I have for you guys today. I will see you guys all tomorrow. And as always, thank you.